chess fans, to the United States Chess League. This is FM Mike Klein reporting. We've got some great Week 2 highlights to look at here today. There was only one winner out of the 4 matches, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. Let's start out by taking a look at the only decisive battle of the week. The Seattle Sluggers recovered nicely from their Week 1 blowout loss. They earned the only win of the first part of Week 2, edging the New Jersey Knockouts 2.5 to 1.5. The Sluggers went with a quadruple FM lineup, and they were able to draw 2 GMs in the top 2 boards. Since the Knockouts went with a top-heavy lineup, the Sluggers only had a significant rating advantage on board 4, where FM Kurt Collier played black against expert Vince Clem. After a lot of maneuvering, Collier breached the king's side, then used the extravagant rook sortie, rook f8 to b8 to b2 to undermine White's pawn chain. After Clem attempted to close ranks with 51 bishop c2, the simple reply queen g5 was too much for White to handle. Collier's win was the decider of the match. The other 3 matches were drawn. Let's start by looking at the New York-LA battle, formerly reserved only for rappers, but now also at the USCL thanks to increased interdivisional play. This is the first time the 2 teams have ever met, and today it was good to move first, as White won all 4 battles. IM Zanabek Amanov scored a big upset over 2700 rated GM Alex Lenderman on board 2 by first chasing Sasha's queen to an unprotected square. Then the devilishly quiet move 25 queen g4, threatening knight takes f6 check, discovering the queen. And if the king moves, as Alex did, knight takes f6 wins a piece anyway, as it conveniently protects the white queen. But New York's other GM, Tomas Galashvili, recovered from his Week 1 loss to win and got his team back to a tied match. In match number 3, the Mechanics and the Applesauce tied their match in a completely different way, 4 draws. The most exciting game was on board 1, when GM Jesse Cry attempted to checkmate Week 1's Game of the Week winner, Grandmaster Vladimir Romanenko. After a theoretical pawn sack in the Queen's Indian defense, Cry allowed Romanenko to take his knight on d6 to line up the queens, and seemingly allow rook h5. But the knight's GM completely turned the tables by exchanging the queen for a rook, knight, and pawn. Romanenko thought he was initially fine, but Cry eventually got connected passers. Romanenko's rooks were then able to team up to hold the fort, and the game ended in a draw. In the final match, Arizona-Philly also tied, with a win each and 2 draws. The key game here was on board 4. The inventor's FM Carl DeMelt overcame the pressure and the bishop pair of FM Pedrana Tufi. Then DeMelt uses 3 pawns to overpower Atufi's lone bishop in the endgame to secure the full point. Philly starts the year with 2 ties, while Arizona stays atop the Western Division with a win and a tie. So far in the United States Chess League in this early season, we've seen some teams go with 2 GMs, and some teams go for a more even rating spread on all 4 boards. But no matter what strategy has been used, no team has been able to start the year 2-0. Check back soon for Week 2 Part 2 highlights of the United States Chess League. We'd like to thank our sponsors, PokerStars, Chess.com, and the ICC.